So all of this business about dead babies and sarin gas, that is just all to keep us confused. Everything that's going on in the news is simply to keep us confused.
It's hard to know exactly what's happening in Syria right now. I'd like to know specifically how that release of chemical gas, if it did occur, and it looks like it did, how that occurred. Because frankly, I don't think Assad would have done that. It does not serve his interests. It would tend to draw us into that civil war even further.
Who do you think is behind it? Who do you think is behind it?
You know, you've got a war going on over there. Supposedly that airstrike was on an ammo dump, and so I don't know if it was released because there was gas stored in the ammo dump or not. That's plausible. I'm not saying that's what I think happened, but
you're more inclined to believe the position of what Bashar al-Assad is saying and what the Russians are saying right now than more inclined to believe what even your colleagues here in the United States believe is truth, that this is Assad, and what human rights observers over there say is Assad?
I don't think it would have served Assad's purposes to do a chemical attack on his people. So it's hard for me to understand why he would do that if he did.
Congressman Tom Massie, thanks for your time.
That video is worth multiple reviewings for all of the multiple WTF moments during that interview where the anchor is just speechless, just absolutely aghast that anyone, including a U.S. congressman, could possibly doubt the veracity of this story, for which we have precisely zero actual evidence. So definitely worth rewatching, and it does come from our friends at The Anti-Media on a post CNN anchor speechless after Congressman questions Syria chemical attack story. So that's at theantimedia.org, but I got it by way of the comments in the U.S. strike Syria, Russia set to respond open source investigation that we're running right now on the Syria strikes. That one coming in from user MKey, who put that in the links here. Lots of different links to very important stories coming through. Lots of participation here. It's good to see all of these links and all of this data as I'm working on putting, as I say, I'm putting together a newsletter that I'll be releasing hopefully before I go to bed in Japan. It's getting late here, but I hope to be able to release this tonight to bring everyone up to speed on what's going on. So please do leave your links in the comment section and I'll continue checking through them. Another very valuable one coming from Voice of Araby, who left this note about the USA notified Russia as part of the Safe Skies agreement about this particular strike, but Russia just responded by stopping that agreement, so this can never happen again. The next time Russia detects a flying object over Syria, it can shoot it down and turn around and say, oops. Yes, very, very, very important development here. Moscow suspends U.S.-Russian memorandum on flight safety over Syria. Details here, again, I left the link to this in the comment section at this open source investigation, so I'll put the link in so you can go through all of these comments and links as they're coming in. But some very important stories developing here. Basically, long story short, Russia is calling this an act of aggression. They're calling for a United Nations Security Council emergency meeting. They've suspended their agreement, their memorandum on flight safety over Syria with the US, and that does mean that the next time there is any sort of strike, Russia can and probably will respond militarily to to intercept the missiles or whatever may be going over Syrian airspace. Extremely perilous indeed.
For example, what's going on in Syria? I'll tell you what's going on in Syria. And this is because I'm not working just by myself. I'm working with a lot of whistleblowers. And there's one whistleblower in particular.
And just so you know, you're in contact with World Bank members also around the globe.
Yes, yes. There's one of us from India. There's one of us from Ethiopia. I forgot the last time I mentioned the list. I forgot one of the best, most intelligent of us. is from South Korea, and we are all working together. Just like these thugs are working together, but I was going to mention about what Mark told me about Syria. What's really going on is that there's natural gas, but you have to have a pipeline to get it to the market. So Qatar, which has all this natural gas, wanted to run a pipeline through Syria, and then they were going to reach the European market. Well, who's supplying the European market with gas?
The Russians.
The Russians. Okay. Saudi Arabia went to the Russians and said, if you stop protecting Syria, then we're going to sell you arms for cheap. And Russia said, no, I want my market for natural gas in Europe. So all of this business about dead babies and sarin gas, that is just all to keep us confused. Everything that's going on in the news is simply to keep us confused. We don't need to be confused. What we need to do is we need to turn around to these crooks, with the crooks at the very top, and we need to say, no. Well, you're not going to rip us off anymore. We've had enough.